Chapter 6, Daniel at the Siege of Boston, the whale swims south. I didn't know if post could come to us from the Patriot camp, but every day I hoped for a letter from Father. I wanted to know if he'd arrived safely, how he spent his days. Did he sleep in a tent? What did he eat? Did he have musket balls enough? 2 days after he left for the New England Army, new British soldiers arrived from Halifax. I worried that the British would mount an attack before Father was ready to defend himself, but no attack was forthcoming. Then I overheard the officers gossiping and mayhap. I discovered the reason. Since the schools had been closed, I no longer saw Master Richardson every day, but we had worked out a signal where I had news for the Patriots. A blacksmith had copied the blue whale from our tavern sign and forged it into a boot scraper we kept outside the front door. It was good and heavy. No one would think to move it, except me. I turned the whale north, toward Canada, when I had no news. When I turned the scraper around so the whale was swimming south to the West Indies, I had British secrets to share. That afternoon, I turned it around, and early the next morning, I went to meet my schoolmaster. After building up the kitchen fire, I grabbed our water buckets and headed for the meeting place, the town pump in North Square. Master Richardson's rooms were in a house nearby. Unfortunately, others in the house could not be trusted, and so we met in public. I took my time, enjoying the early morning spring sunshine, which was warming my face. I took a deep breath of Boston air, salty, fishy Boston air. There were no redcoats about at the moment, and I could almost pretend that the town was not under siege, but the pump was near deserted, reminding me of how many citizens had left. I missed the chatter and the gossip of those who used to gather here. The people who waited for a turn looked pinched and sour. Soon Master Richardson stood beside me. "Good day, Daniel," he said loudly for all of us to hear. "How are things at Prescott's Tavern?" "Very well," I answered just as loudly. Our conversation was of no importance until I bent over the pump. "What news, Daniel?" he asked. I lowered my voice. "There are 3 new generals that just sailed from London on the Cerberus," I told him. "One by the name of Howe. Stockdale expects Gage to attack the Patriots as soon as they land, and he has their advice." Master Richardson only nodded. I knew he passed on everything I told him, but to whom remained a mystery. It was best I didn't know. I trusted that the knowledge would eventually reach General Ward's headquarters in Cambridge. I wondered what Father was doing and if he was ready for a battle. "Have you news for me? News of my father?" I asked. "He is well," Master Richardson said. "I have a letter for you." He patted his jacket to show me where it was. I wanted to rip it from him and read it immediately. I was so excited to have news of Father, but I forced myself to wait until he could slip it to me without anyone noticing. I filled the second bucket and pulled the yoke over my shoulders. I wished the Patriots would charge into Boston and drive the British to the sea. The neck was well guarded by the redcoats, however, and 8 British warships sat in the harbor, ready to fire their cannons. The Patriots could not stand up to such might. Master Richardson raised his voice again, drawing me away from my thoughts. "I trust that you continue to practice your hand, now that the schools are closed." "Aye, sir, when I can," I said. "Perhaps I'll come see you one day soon." "I would like that, sir." As we moved away from the pump, he lowered his voice again, unraveling the threads on the cuff of his frayed coat. "Do you need help at the tavern, now that your father is gone, with food so dear?" His voice trailed off in embarrassment. The cost of food had doubled, tripled, and then doubled again. Many were hungry. It pained me to tell Master Richardson that we now employed a redcoat to man the tap in his off-duty hours. Mother and I discussed hiring the schoolmaster. We knew his purse was already nearly empty, and now his school salary was stopped. But we worried that the British tongues would stop wagging freely with the addition of a new barman who was not one of their own. Master Richardson's face turned from hopeful to bitter. He said nothing. "Can the army pay you wages?" I asked. "My work is secret, and General Ward has no funds," Master Richardson said, shaking his head. "He hopes the Continental Congress in Philadelphia will bring all 13 colonies to the cause and take charge of the army. But I'm not hopeful. I risk my life daily for their cause, but I think the Sons of Liberty would let me starve." "But the cause is just, is it not? Liberty, freedom from tyranny," I said. "I've heard you speak of it many times." "Oh, liberty?" he snorted. "What good if it's liberty if we all starve to death?" We took to leave one another. I tarried to watch the schoolmaster walk towards his rooms, troubled by his words, so troubled that I barely noticed Josiah Henshaw running after him. I ducked out of sight. Josiah Henshaw was the very last person I wished to see when I carried buckets like a servant. It was only later that I wondered what had drawn him from Beacon Hill so early in the morning.